Okay, so for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at dividing fractions. So the way we're going to do these questions is actually by using something called the keep, flip, change method. I'll also put a link in the description for any other useful videos around this topic and also a card in the top corner. So for this first question, we've got 3 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. So for the keep, flip, change method, what we're going to do is turn our division into a multiplication. And the way we do this is we keep the first fraction, so our 3 over 4 would remain as 3 over 4. We're going to flip our second fraction, so 2 over 3 becomes 3 over 2, and then we change our division to a multiply. So now we want to do 3 over 4 multiplied by 3 over 2. So we're going to see if we can simplify these fractions first. Well, we can't because 3 over 4 and 3 over 2 are both in their simplest form. And we can also look to cross cancel these. So looking across the fractions, first of all, I've got 3 and 2. So I want to see if I've got a highest common factor that's greater than 1 that I can cancel these down by. Well, the highest common factor of 3 and 2 is 1, so we can't cancel these down. And then we check the other way, we've got 4 and 3. Again, the highest common factor there is also 1, so we can't cancel these down. So now when multiplying fractions, all we do is multiply the numerators together and then the denominators. So we do 3 multiplied by 3, which would give us 9, and then 4 multiplied by 2, which would give us 8. So our answer here would be 9 over 8. For this next question, we've got 1 over 3 divided by 2 over 5. So again, we're going to apply our keep, flip, change method. So we're going to keep our 1 over 3. We're going to flip our 2 over 5, so it now becomes 5 over 2. And then we change our division into a multiplication. So again, before we do this, we want to see if we can simplify. We can't simplify the individual fractions. We can't cross cancel here because we don't have a highest common factor greater than 1, so we're just going to multiply these through. So we do 1 times 5, which gives us 5, and then we do 3 multiplied by 2, which gives us 6. So our answer here would be 5 over 6. We've got some more examples to try now. If you want to have a go at these first, feel free to pause the video here, and we'll go through the solutions in just a few moments. So for this first question, we've got 3 over 4 divided by 1 over 8. So again, we're going to apply the keep, flip, change method. So we're going to keep our 3 over 4. We're going to flip our 1 over 8, so it becomes 8 over 1. And then we're going to change our divide to a multiply. So before we multiply them through, we want to see if we can simplify them. Well, we can't simplify the fractions individually, so we want to see if we can cross cancel. So looking across first, I've got 3 and 1. The highest common factor of 3 and 1 is 1, so we can't cancel them down. Now looking across the other way, we've got 4 and 8. The highest common factor of 4 and 8 is actually 4. So because I've got a highest common factor greater than 1, this means I can divide both those numbers by that highest common factor. So because the highest common factor was 4, I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 4. So if we do 4 divided by 4, we get 1. And if we do 8 divided by 4, we get 2. So now what we're going to do is multiply these numbers through. So I've now got 3 multiplied by 2, which is 6. And then on the bottom, I've got 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. So we've got 6 over 1, which we can just simplify to 6. So that would be our answer for that one. For this next example, we've got 5 over 6 divided by 2 over 3. So we're going to keep our 5 over 6. We're going to flip our 2 over 3, so it becomes 3 over 2. We then change our divide to a multiply. So again, before we multiply them through, we want to see if we can simplify them. So we can't simplify the individual fractions, so then we want to see if we can cross cancel. So first of all, we've got 5 and 2. We can't cancel them down because the highest common factor is 1. However, looking this way, we've got 6 and 3. The highest common factor this time is 3, so we can cancel these down. We're going to divide both of these by 3. So if I do 6 divided by 3, that now becomes 2. And if I do 3 divided by 3, that becomes 1. So now multiplying across, we've got 5 multiplied by 1, which is 5. And then 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4. So this fully simplified would just be 5 over 4. Moving on, we've now got 5 over 8 divided by 3 over 16. So again, applying our method, we keep the 5 over 8. We flip the 3 over 16, so we've now got 16 over 3. And we change the divide to a multiply. So now we look through and see if we can simplify. Well, we can't simplify the individual fractions. So then we're going to see if we can cross cancel. So looking across first, I've got 5 and 3. I can't cancel them down because the highest common factor is 1. Looking across this way, I've got 8 and 16. We can cancel these down because the highest common factor of these is 8. So I'm going to divide both numbers by 8. So if we do 8 divided by 8, that becomes 1. And if we do 16 divided by 8, that becomes 2. So now that we've simplified, we're just going to multiply through. So we've got 5 multiplied by 2, which is 10. And then 1 multiplied by 3, which is 3. So the answer here would be 10 over 3. And for this next question, we've got 8 over 10 divided by 11 over 15. So we're going to keep our 8 over 10. We're going to flip our 11 over 15, so it becomes 15 over 11. And then we change our divide to a multiply. So again, before we multiply them through, we want to see if we can simplify them. So looking at the individual fractions, we can't simplify 15 over 11. However, we can simplify 8 over 10. The highest common factor of 8 and 10 is actually 2, meaning I can divide both of these numbers by 2. So if we do 8 divided by 2, we get 4. And if we do 10 divided by 2, we get 5. So that's now simplified to 4 over 5. So the individual fractions are simplified. We want to see if now we can cross cancel. So looking across first, I've got 4 and 11. Well, the highest common factor there is 1, so I can't cancel them down. Now looking across the other way, I've now got 5 and 15. Well, the highest common factor there is actually 5, so we can cancel these down. So because the highest common factor is 5, that means I'm going to divide both these numbers by 5. So if I do 5 divided by 5, that's going to become 1. And if I do 15 divided by 5, that's now going to become 3. So now that we've simplified fully, we're just going to multiply through. So looking at the tops, we've got 4 multiplied by 3, which is 12. And then on the bottom, we have 1 multiplied by 11, which is 11. So this one fully simplified would just be 12 over 11. We can also have scenarios where we're dividing fractions with whole numbers. So when we've got a question like this, we can still use the keep flip change method, but to do that we want to turn our whole number into a fraction. And the simple way we do that is we just put our whole number as a fraction over 1. So for this example, we've got 5 divided by 1 over 2. So I can simply change that into 5 over 1, because that's still equal to 5, which then I'm going to divide by our 1 over 2. So now we've got our two fractions which we're dividing. We're going to apply our keep flip change method. So we're going to keep our 5 over 1. We're going to flip our 1 over 2, so it becomes 2 over 1. And then we change our divide to a multiply. So looking at our fractions now, we can clearly see we've got 5 over 1, which is just 5, multiplied by 2 over 1, which is just 2. So the answer is going to be 10. But again, following it through as we've normally done, multiplying the numerators gives us 10, multiplying the denominators gives us 1, so 10 over 1 is just 10. So that would be our answer to this one. Okay, we've got a couple more questions to finish off with. Again, feel free to pause the video here and have a go at these, and we'll go through the solutions in just a few moments. Okay, for this first example, we've got 3 divided by 2 over 5. So as before, I'm going to change my whole number into a fraction by simply putting it over 1. So 3 is going to become 3 over 1, which then we're dividing by 2 over 5. So now we're dividing fractions, so we're going to apply our keep flip change method. So we're going to keep our 3 over 1. We're going to flip our 2 over 5, so it becomes 5 over 2. We're then changing our divide to a multiply. So looking at the fractions now, we can't simplify or cross cancel, so we're just going to multiply across. So we're going to do 3 multiplied by 5, which is 15. We're then going to do 1 multiplied by 2, which is 2. So our answer, fully simplified, would be 15 over 2. And for this final example, we've got 8 over 11 divided by 5. So again, I'm going to rewrite this as 8 over 11 divided by, I'm now going to write my whole number as a fraction, so 5 would become 5 over 1. We're now going to apply our keep flip change method, so this time we're keeping our 8 over 11. We're going to flip our 5 over 1, so it becomes 1 over 5, and then we change our divide to a multiply. Again, we check to see if we can simplify the individual fractions or cross cancel. We can't here, so we're just going to follow it through. So we do 8 multiplied by 1, which gives us 8. And then on the bottom, we'd have 11 multiplied by 5, which is just 55. So this one fully simplified would be 8 over 55. So well done if you followed along with those questions. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. If there are any topics at all that you'd like me to go through next, then please just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make some videos on those topics as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.